Hi, I'm Matt here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are bringing you the most excellent new film for once, Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's a follow up to the original Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and it stars Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, Kristen Shaw, Samara Weaving, Bridget Lundy Payne, William Sadler in his triumphant return as Death. Death is back. And it's directed by Dean Parasolt. Dean Parasolt has done a handful of lots of television directing, but for my money, the best things that he's done in cinema are Galaxy Quest and Fun with Dick and Jane.
This movie is out right now in limited theaters and it's also out on demand. It has a $25 million budget. We don't quite have box office numbers yet because of the current situation and because it's split between on demand and in select theaters. This movie has received generally positive reviews from critics. In this movie, Bill and Ted have just hours left to write the song that will unite the world, but they've been having some trouble writing actual good music for the past couple decades or so. So, as Bill and Ted do, they travel through time to try to steal that song from their future selves and to help keep their families together. So, Randall, what do you think about this new excellent adventure from Bill and Ted?
All right, when we did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I said, they don't make movies like this anymore, and I take it back. I'll grant that when I was talking about that in that review, it was because they that one's kind of like a whole bunch of shorts almost. This one does have more of a plot than the original Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and it's beholden to its plot. But generally speaking, especially if you're a Bill and Ted fan and you liked the original movies, this movie I think just slots right in. It's fine. It follows it up 20 some years later, and it's a lot of fun. Actually, almost like 30 years later, honestly. Like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was 1991. Generally speaking, I liked this movie. There's a lot to like here.
Oh, I agree. Especially what you said. If you're already a fan of Bill and Ted, I think you are going to enjoy this movie. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, they jump right back into the roles, and they are still enjoyable. All the scenes with Bill and Ted, I enjoyed. I was laughing at the jokes.
How is that stealing? If we're stealing it from ourselves, dude.
I enjoy these characters, and they still play these characters well. It'll be interesting to see how people who haven't seen Bill and Ted movies, and this is their first introduction to Bill and Ted, it'll be interesting to see how they would react to this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely like plucking them out of the late 80s, early 90s, and just like, hey, they haven't changed. They're still out there. They're still saying, dude, excellent. Whoa. All of that stuff that kind of defined the coolness in air quotes of that era. They're still doing that, and their daughters have picked it up too. You'd already mentioned that the main plot of this is that Bill and Ted kind of travel through time to try and steal the song that's going to unite the world and save all of space time. Well, is that new? Yes, that's new. I personally liked the daughter's story in this a lot more. So if you really enjoyed the original Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where they kind of just go through hopping through time and collecting historical figures, in this the daughters have a side quest of sorts where they go through hopping through time to collect all of these historical musicians. So while Bill and Ted are going through the main plot of this story, their daughters have this really awesome side story that I genuinely enjoyed because it made me think of the original. It's part of it that really worked to bring me back to the feeling of the original.
Yep, and I think we have a little bit of both movies. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, and the Bogus Journey. With Billy and Thea, we kind of get that excellent adventure part, and then with Bill and Ted, some of the aspects are similar to the second movie. We're meeting other like Bill and Ted's, whereas from that one we had like robot Bill and Ted, and then Bill and Ted also have a robot coming after them, trying to chase them through time too. So we both with this has a lot of good callbacks to the other two movies. I really like how the actresses played Billy and Thea. I kind of wish they were a little bit more original. I think to me they felt almost too much like Bill and Ted were in the previous movies.
Yeah, I wish there was some way we could help him out, you know?
Yeah. But how?
Yeah, they really did. Like I said, they are basically just the younger versions of their fathers. And from some perspective, you're like, okay, that's funny from a movie perspective, but if you're trying to be at all realistic, you know, your kids don't really genuinely end up exactly like you, and they end up exactly like their fathers. So there is that. But you were saying, hey, all these actors being back in their roles and how it makes you feel comfortable. And for me, it is a really good thing. Right off the bat, I smiled as soon as I saw William Sadler. William Sadler is one of my favorite character actors. I got a lot of favorite character actors, but he is right up there. Criminally underrated in Die Hard 2 as the villain. And he's in the Pacific. He plays Chester Nimitz. He's a great character actor. I love seeing him back in the saddle as Death. You know, the amazing bass player. There is a lot to love here. And what really got me is that this is an hour-and-a-half film. There's a ton. They just shove everything into this really relatively short movie, and it all works out. All of the time travel works out. It all just makes sense in the end. It's fun. It's a definitely amazing journey to go on.
I think that's interesting too that you put it that way too, because that's like a kind of a theme of this movie or whatever. It all makes sense in the end, kind of thing.
That's what my dad always said.
And yes, I'm glad that Def is back. It was great to see him in this movie. Though I do think the hell scenes were probably maybe the slowest part of the movie. But overall, this movie's great. I had a lot of fun, and I definitely did enjoy the tribute to George Carlin's character, Rufus. So be sure to look for that when you watch Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Kristen Schaal does a great job as his daughter, as Rufus's daughter. She's a fun character to watch, and it's like, okay, you know, she's a potty mouth comedian just like George Carlin, so it fit for me. And like you said, you beat me to it. The little throwback to George Carlin's really, really well done. It's not insulting. It's just pretty much perfect.
It's a good way to pay tribute to the character, and you know, also acknowledge that he's not in the story, but still in the story, kind of thing. Still having an impact on the story. It's really good.
Absolutely. I recommend this film. If you are a fan of the previous Bill and Ted's, you're going to love it. If you're just getting into Bill and Ted, there's just enough context clues and stuff written into the script that brings you up to speed about what's happening. So I say give it a go. It's a fun film.
Yep, I echo Randall too. Go check it out. Tell us, after you watch Bill and Ted Face the Music, what you guys think about the movie. What do you think about our review? Be sure to give us a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe, ring the bell to get notifications of when our videos come out. Also, be sure to check us out on Facebook. We will post a day ahead of our new uploads what the video is going to be. For now, I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone later.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.